We are a little more than 2 months away from the midterm elections in November, and one race in Texas will play a role in determining control of the U.S. Senate. Right now, Republicans control 53 seats in the upper chamber. Democrats would need to flip 4 seats to secure a majority. Over in Texas, Senator John Cornyn will end his 4th term after losing the runoff election back in May. The question is, who will fill that position alongside Senator Ted Cruz? Republican candidate Ken Paxton is going up against Democratic candidate James Talarico, and we still have yet to see the two on a debate stage together, but that hasn't stopped our media partners at Texas Monthly from coming up with a few questions for the candidates. Joining us now is Dan Sullivan. He is with Texas Monthly. Dan, thank you so much for joining us. How did this idea for this article sort of come together?
So, as you noted, the election is coming on us pretty fast. Time is running out for a debate, and none has been confirmed. Talarico agreed to do 3 of them with different news networks, but Paxton hasn't yet agreed to participate. He says that he wants to, but he hasn't confirmed anything. We're less than 2 months from early voting starting, so I wanted to write down the kind of pressing questions that we have for both of them with the expectation that an actual debate might not occur.
Well, you know, in the article, there are questions for Paxton and Talarico. There's a question that references Talarico's so-called code switching. Talk about that a little bit. What do you mean by all of that?
So code switching is basically when you talk one way around a certain group of people and another way around a different group. And there are quotes from a few years back that Talarico has tried to distance himself from without fully explaining what's changed. A famous one is when he told an animal rights group back when he was running for re-election in the Texas House that he was proudly running a non-meat campaign. His opponents have run with that to accuse him of being a vegan, which he isn't. But the question is, if he was proud to be running a non-meat campaign a few years ago, then what's changed now? He's had similar things come up when he talks about trans rights, where he's argued passionately on behalf of trans people before. But now, if he's on a more conservative podcast, he'll talk about how he opposes things like gender reassignment surgery for minors instead of saying that those don't really happen. Mm-hmm. It would be good to know where his values actually lie when it comes to these things.
Yeah. Well, there's another question for Paxton. It reads, how much jail time do you believe someone convicted of child sex abuse should serve? That's one of the ones that was jotted down. Tell us more about that.
So Paxton's office several years ago cut a deal with a lawyer from Waco who was accused of child sexual abuse. He pled guilty to a charge of indecent assault of a 7-year-old, and the plea included a confession. So this is all adjudicated. We know what happened. But as part of that plea, Paxton's office offered him a 1-day jail sentence. Now, the judge amended that to 60 days and the surrender of his law license. But 1 day is obviously a very light sentence for indecent assault of a child. Yeah. Paxton has talked tough on crime over the years many times. It would be really great to have some clarity on what led him to offer such a light deal to someone who was convicted of such a horrendous crime.
What does each candidate need to do to really pull ahead now and win? Because, again, polls keep changing, but this is just getting closer and closer between the two.
Paxton needs to be able to do better with independents. He needs independents to vote for him. He needs to make sure that the rural base that has, buoyed Republicans across the state in tougher races, like the 2018 race between Beto O'Rourke and Ted Cruz, that they turn out, that they're passionate about him, that they're excited, and they show up in big numbers. So that's what he has to do. Talarico needs to make the race a referendum on Paxton and Trump, I think, in order to maybe depress some of that turnout among most passionate Republican voters, and then to win over the moderates and the independents, which it seems like he's, on track to do. So I think that he might have the easier path of the two, although, no one has gone broke betting on a Republican to win statewide in Texas in many, many, many years.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Our thanks to Dan Sullivan for tonight's discussion. We appreciate you, Dan. You can read the entire article right now. It's on TexasMonthly.com. CBS News Texas will be right back.